Maximize your sense of aliveness, gain new perspectives on health, your body, and the meaning of life. You can control your physiology and how you feel in your body in this moment. Your life will never be the same. This is the Vitality Podcast with Andrea Page.
So welcome. This is very different. This is a beautiful morning, I feel, because you get to see a lot of different parts of me. And often in the work I do, people only see one part of what I do.
Questa è stata una mattina speciale perché normalmente le persone vedono una parte di me, invece in questo caso ho offerto un po' la mia gamma.
And this part specifically, I tend to be more high energy and really direct. And
Questa parte tende ad alzare l'energia, è molto diretta.
my intention with all of the work that I do in the health sphere is to bring people back to their bodies,
La mia intenzione è di portare le persone indietro al corpo,
to be on the same side as your body, to be on the same team as your body, and to listen to the messages that your body is always sending you.
quindi di tornare a essere parte della stessa equipe del corpo e quindi sentire i messaggi che il corpo invia.
Because in allopathic medicine, we've disconnected from that, right? The body sends you a message, oh, I have a headache, right? And what do? You take a pill.
Quindi nella medicina allopatica occidentale l'atteggiamento è il contrario, per cui c'è un dolore che arriva alla testa, c'è mal di testa, prendiamo una pillola e ci disconnettiamo dai messaggi che il corpo invia.
And so this was labeled as a naturopathy lecture.
Questa è stata chiamata come lecture di naturopatia.
But I mean, that's by virtue of it just being a natural approach. It's naturopathy.
Quindi virtuosamente questa è denominata naturopatia. Maybe I didn't get. So you say, can you repeat this?
Yeah, it's just like it's going to be a natural medicine approach anyway.
Quindi è praticamente chiamata naturopatia, ma in realtà l'approccio è proprio naturale.
I come from natural hygiene, which is the science of fasting.
Quindi lei viene dall'igiene naturale.
And it's the precursor to modern naturopathic medicine. It's what came before.
E quindi è il precursore della naturopatia.
And so everything I do is based upon the understanding of fasting.
Quindi tutto ciò che viene da me è la comprensione del digiuno.
And what that is that when we stop putting in solid fibrous matter to the body, we allow things to turn off and to calm down.
Quindi quando evitiamo di inserire nel nostro corpo fibre solide, possiamo finalmente rilassarci e andare giù.
And when that happens, the energy that would normally go to digestion, which is up to 70% of all available energy, it goes to heal and cleanse at a cellular level.
Quindi possiamo veicolare quel 70% di energia che normalmente è impiegato per digerire gli alimenti e quel 70% poi invece essere indirizzato a curare e guarire il corpo.
And so that primary energetic shift is what I work with a lot and what I teach, what I empower people to experience on their own.
Quindi è un cambiamento energetico che io insegno alle persone in maniera tale che lo diventino più potenti e abbiano in mano quel potere e lo sappiano utilizzare.
And so Sarah, one of the women who was here this morning, was in a retreat of mine a few months ago in Bali, and so it was lovely to see her again.
Sara, la ragazza che era qui questa mattina, ha partecipato a uno dei miei ritiri a Bali.
So you can talk to her about it if you meet her again. But in general, this is something that often you have to experience firsthand, because certain things about the power and the potential of the human body, we find out a little bit in yoga, but there's so much more that people don't know.
Quindi in realtà questa è un'esperienza più che essere ascoltata, testimoniata da altri, va provata in prima persona e quel potere che noi otteniamo nello yoga lo comprendiamo in parte, ma in realtà c'è ancora di più.
For example, the human body can thrive and survive for 40 to 50 days on water alone.
Quindi il nostro corpo può sopravvivere 40-50 giorni soltanto con l'acqua.
And that's not something that you're taught in school.
Questo non è insegnato a scuola.
And so if you have a yogic connection, you can go much, even longer than that, right?
Se c'è una connessione con il lignaggio yoga, si può andare anche oltre rispetto a questi giorni.
Sages in India who haven't eaten in 70 years.
Ci sono dei saggi in India che non hanno mangiato per 70 anni.
And so this vehicle, this vessel for this life that we've been given is capable of so much more than we allow ourselves to believe.
Quindi questo veicolo è in grado di sopravvivere per molto di più di quello che noi pensiamo.
So, yeah, today I want to focus on what I call the fundamentals of health. Things that people don't know that are basic.
Oggi vorrei che ci focalizzassimo sui fondamenti della salute, cose che le persone non sanno, che sono in realtà basiche.
And I would call them hydration, elimination, restoration, and respiration.
Quindi chiamerò queste idratazione,
Elimination,
eliminazione,
restoration,
restaurare
and respiration.
e respirazione.
So we've talked and touched a little bit on them this morning, but we're going to go into each one individually, and this will unveil, because the truth of the matter is that you could go see a million healing practitioners, right, and there could still be a problem.
Quindi oggi andremo a vedere ciascuno di questi 4 elementi insieme e la realtà oggi è che comunque si può andare da un migliaio di persone che dovrebbero risolvere questi problemi, ma si manterranno.
Because if these systems aren't working, nothing is going to work.
Perché se questi sistemi non funzionano bene, nulla funzionerà.
And so, we'll start first with hydration. Hydration.
Iniziamo con l'idratazione.
Hydration. Full permission to take some water. The human body uses and loses 3 liters of water per day. That's like 2 of these bottles.
Quindi il corpo umano utilizza 3 litri d'acqua al giorno,
Simply by waking up in the morning.
semplicemente svegliandosi la mattina.
So what that means is that we have to replace that, right? And that's not gulp, 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 gulp.
Dobbiamo sostituire questi fluidi.
That's every few minutes, right? It's not all at once.
Quindi anche ogni 8 minuti, non soltanto una volta ogni tanto.
And the thing is that this is the biggest problem probably that humanity faces in the world of today. Most diseases are actually dehydration.
Quindi probabilmente questo è il maggiore dei problemi fisici nel mondo, che è la disidratazione.
And there's a lot to this because it's not only just drinking water, it's also the kind of water that you're drinking, how you're drinking it, and when you're drinking it.
Quindi non è soltanto l'acqua, non soltanto la qualità, ma come tu bevi l'acqua e la quantità di acqua.
And so my desire is to give you tools for this, of how to use and how to apply this to your life.
Quindi
So,
il desiderio è di strumenti per sapere come utilizzare questi fluidi.
so first of all, with hydration, we have to acknowledge that the body is made up of 60 to 90% water.
Quindi sappiamo che il 60-70% del corpo è formato d'acqua.
That's a lot of water, right? That's mostly water. And so first of all, I ask people to imagine like a bathtub filled with water, right? That's been there for maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? It's pretty dirty.
Quindi, no, non ho sentito, scusa. Quindi immaginate che ci sia una vasca riempita d'acqua sporca 50-60 anni. Ok?
It's dirty, right? So let's just say, yeah, that we take a cup of water and we take out a cup of dirty water and we put in a cup of clean water. Maybe you drink a few cups per day.
Quindi immaginate che da questa vasca con acqua sporca tirate fuori dell'acqua sporca e ne introduciate altre.
It's not really going to be clean.
Non sarà comunque molto pulita perché sono ancora dei bicchieri.
But then what if we take like a 3-liter bucket of water and, right?
Immaginate cosa succede se invece prendiamo un bel secchione e tiriamo fuori 3 volte
Gonna
quest'acqua.
clean much faster, right? And so
A pulirsi molto più velocemente.
this is the ultimate essence of everything that there is in the body, from the lymphatic system to the circulatory system, the blood.
Quindi questa alla fine è l'ultima è la cosa principale, quindi sia per il sistema cardiocircolatorio che linfatico.
And so that's where the water in your body is. It's not like you have water bottles stuck in your thighs and you're walking around with water bottles in your thighs.
Quindi non è che camminiamo come se l'acqua fosse una bottiglia dentro le vostre cosce.
The water in your body is in your blood and your lymph.
Quindi l'acqua nel corpo vostro sia nel sistema circolatorio ma anche nella linfa.
And so, for example, the practice we did this morning in yoga, right? A fluid, and that wasn't even very fluid for me. It was a bit more static than I wanted because of the translation and everything. But still, you know that moving, right? Through yoga asana, through a vinyasa, ashtanga vinyasa style, that's what ramps up the circulation. But if you only have dirty bath water to circulate, right, you're not going to get very far.
Quindi la pratica che abbiamo fatto questa mattina era un modo per attivare anche questi passaggi di fluidi, ma se l'acqua dei fluidi del corpo è comunque sporca, non abbiamo modo di rimuoverla.
Yeah? And so, first thing is to flush.
Quindi la prima cosa è pulire.
This alone could change everything. If you leave here today and you do nothing but drink up to 3 or more liters of water a day, that could change everything. Right? It can take 10 years off your face. It can make you completely feel different in your fingers, your toes, and everything, every aspect of the life.
Quindi semplicemente bere 3 litri d'acqua al giorno cambia anche l'espressione del corpo e rende anche le articolazioni molto più morbide.
Okay, so water. I recommend that people drink 1 liter to 1.5 liters in the morning before you ever think of the word breakfast.
Raccomanda di bere 1 litro e mezzo d'acqua prima del breakfast.
You wake up in the morning
Vi svegliate,
and you shower, you wash your outside.
pulite-
How about your inside?
Ma riguardo l'interno, punto interrogativo,
What if you were to wake up and shower the inside? The things that have been, detoxified over the night, flush them out. And so again, that's not gulp, 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 gulp. That's every few minutes. I tell my clients, find a bottle, glue it to your hand, a bottle that you love, right? Make sure it's always full. And then whatever your morning routine is, maybe it's getting the kids ready for school. Maybe it's taking the dog for a walk. Maybe it's checking your emails. Have a bottle there every few minutes.
e quindi abbiamo la possibilità di eliminare tutto ciò che è stato identificato nel corso della notte e ciò può essere eliminato bevendo, ma non c'è bisogno di bere, anzi non bisogna bere istantaneamente tutto questo litro d'acqua in mezzo, ma possiamo utilizzare una bottiglia a cui siamo particolarmente affezionati e bere dei piccoli gocce di acqua anche mentre facciamo altre cose.
Yeah.
But how about being mindful? If you're doing other things and drinking? No,
You can be
just
mindful.
eating.
Be even more mindful. Okay, so yes, so this 1 liter to 1.5 liters will change everything, right? And then the rest of the water, you want to drink on an empty stomach. Water is meant to be drunk on an empty stomach.
L'importante è che il resto
Not with
dell'acqua
food.
sia bevuto con lo stomaco vuoto.
Yeah, and the reason for that is that it will dilute stomach acid if you have it with food, and it will also disrupt digestion, and it will not be absorbed in the same way.
Altrimenti andremo a diluire i succhi gastrici e non avremo la possibilità di digerire in maniera appropriata.
So, what kind of water are we meant to drink?
Quale tipo di acqua?
Every living being, including plants on Earth, is meant to be drinking fresh spring water.
Qualsiasi essere vivente in questa terra è nato per bere acqua pulita.
Water that comes from the earth. It's been filtered through the earth, right? Over thousands of years. It's been mineralized by the rocks. Right?
Acqua che è presente da migliaia e migliaia di anni, che è stata filtrata dalle rocce, è stata mineralizzata dalle stesse.
And the issue with a lot of water today, especially municipal tap water, I know you said the water in Milan is good, but the thing is that most in municipal water systems have not been updated since the 1980s.
Dice che dal 1980 la maggior parte delle acque municipali non è stata aggiornata.
And the thing is that today we have a whole lot of new pharmaceuticals.
E purtroppo oggi purtroppo l'ho aggiunto io, abbiamo una serie di farmaceutici, di prodotti farmaceutici.
And the water systems don't know how to filter out the pharmaceuticals.
E il sistema non sa come filtrare questi nuovi farmaceutici.
And so when you have someone next door on hormone replacement, or you have someone over here on happy pills, right, that's going through their urine directly into the water supply and then into the water.
Avete vicino a voi qualcuno che utilizza il trattamento ormonale sostitutivo oppure medicinali per l'epatite?
And not only that, but other kinds of city water tends to be quite acidic because of the piping.
E tra l'altro l'acqua municipale tende ad essere molto acida.
But more than anything, it doesn't have inside of it the minerals needed to be whole water.
E all'interno non ha quei minerali che la rendono la vera acqua.
So just like we have the concept of, could you say comida completa, like whole food?
Sì.
Yeah, a whole
Quindi abbiamo
food.
il concetto dell'elemento integrale, quindi come il grano integrale.
There's whole water.
E la stessa cosa è integrale anche l'acqua.
And if the water, just like it's also bottled water that's not from a fresh spring, right?
Anche la bottiglia che non arriva direttamente da una sorgente.
Often it's been so sterilized and purified that the minerals have also been taken out.
È stata così sterilizzata che i minerali non sono più presenti.
And so when that comes into the body doesn't recognize it, just like it doesn't recognize something like sugar and not whole food.
E quindi quando entra dentro il nostro corpo non la riconosce veramente.
And so I actually, in Bali, sometimes I use remineralizing drops to put minerals back in the water so that the body understands what the water is and can use it.
Quindi a Bali si rimineralizza l'acqua in maniera tale che il corpo riconosca quest'acqua e la utilizzi in maniera appropriata.
But the best thing you can do is find a spring, and I'm sure there are tons of them not so far away in Milan. There's a website called findaspring.com. Yeah, right?
E trovare una sorgente e anche sono sicura che non lontano da Milano ci saranno delle sorgenti e se proprio non sapete dove c'è un sito web che si chiama findaspring.com e vi indica dove trovare.
And the best thing you could ever do would be to invest in maybe 4 big jugs, and then maybe 1 or 2 times a month drive out into the countryside. How beautiful. Fill up your water and bring it back. This is number 1 for health.
Anche romantico prendere 4 cisterne, andare anche nel countryside, quindi andare nelle campagne e riempire queste 4 cisterne e poi riportarle a casa.
Yeah. Right? We're so concerned about healthy food and everything like that, but no one thinks about water.
Quindi tutti noi siamo lì che poniamo attenzione al cibo e poi in realtà non poniamo attenzione all'acqua.
And so, yes, so we're only at step 1, so I have to get to the other 3 steps, the other 3 fundamentals. But this one is so important, and it's not only about hydration, it's also about dehydration.
Quindi questo punto è molto molto importante, non è soltanto riguardo l'idratazione ma anche riguardo la disidratazione.
And so the thing is that, of course, we're giving ourselves water. Our body will naturally lose 3 liters of water just by its own functions, but there are other things that we do that are very dehydrating.
Sono altre cose che facciamo che provocano disidratazione.
Things you know, like sweating in a yoga class, for sure.
Sudare una classe di yoga.
Right? Other things are not so obvious, like
Cose non sono ovvie.
salty food. Have you noticed? That's really dehydrating.
Cibo salato,
Yeah. Food that's too overly dried, cooked, or fried.
essiccato, fritto,
Animal products, which are very salty in nature.
prodotti di origine animale che sono molto salati.
Yeah, any kind of processed food is going to be dehydrating. There are also certain liquids that are really dehydrating, like alcohol.
Ci sono altri liquidi che disidratano come l'acqua,
Yeah. How about coffee?
e coffee,
That's a big one.
and not roasted coffee.
No. Both coffees, all coffee is dehydrating. 1 cup of coffee dehydrates you to the effect of 1, 2, 3, 4 glasses of water.
Quindi una tazza di caffè corrisponde a disidratazione di 4 tazze di acqua, 4 bicchieri.
You
di
never
acqua.
drink coffee.
And so we see, questions at the end, please. So we see that humans today, why we are so dehydrated, right? I'll have a woman come in my office who drinks easy 2-3 glasses of coffee a day, let alone who knows what she eats or whatnot. She'll drink maybe 3 glasses of water a day. So her body's losing 3 liters. Maybe even if she drinks 1, then she's there, right? Then if she drinks 2 glasses of coffee, that could easily be dehydration of 1.5 liters, right? So now we're down 3.5 liters. And that's day after day after day after day, you see? This is why systemic dehydration is at the root of most disease.
Quindi l'esempio di una donna che va da lei richiede di essere trattata e questa donna beve 3-4 tazze di caffè e beve molta meno acqua e quindi ogni tazza di caffè ripropone il fatto che porta disidratazione e magari aggiunge anche vino e questa situazione si sistematizza e si perpetua.
And so often in our retreats, like the retreat I'm going to hold or a fasting retreat that I have in Bali, we make the joke that we're just spending 1 week rehydrating people.
Quindi normalmente nei ritiri che organizzo la prima settimana è per ridratare le persone.
Yeah, because when you know what it's like to actually feel hydrated, like do you remember when I had you do this? How many people it hurt? Be honest. Yeah, I think most of you it hurt, right? This is a good demo. Find some time when you are actually truly hydrated and do that. It won't hurt, right? So there's soreness in the joints, yeah? Inflammation in the body. These are all symptoms of an underlying dehydration.
Quindi tutti quei sintomi soggiacenti a dolore a livello articolare rappresentano una probabile disidratazione.
Okay, so lots to think about with hydration. When we talk about like alcohol and coffee, it's not only that they're incredibly dehydrating, but they're also very acidic, right? Actually leaching calcium from your bones.
Quindi alcol e caffè, oltre a disidratare, acidificano.
Okay, leaching calcium from your bones.
Quindi,
Did you get that part?
quindi anche vanno a eliminare il calcio, decalcificare il calcio dalle ossa per il tamponamento della.
That's the body's way to cope, to realkalize the blood.
Perché il compito del corpo è di rialcalinizzare, quindi va a pescare calcio dalle ossa.
Yeah, and I'll say one last little thing about hydration because someone had brought it up before about alkalized water. Have you heard of this, like Kagan water? That's why I brought it up for you. It's a scam. It's a really big scam. Yeah? Spring water. Una truffa. It's a big truffa. Okay. Alkalized water is a big truffa.
It's not a truffle, it's a truffa.
Okay. And the reason for that is because spring water is only slightly alkaline. Yeah, when you bring in something like 8 and 9 alkalinity in the body doesn't understand and it imbalances the stomach. Okay, so spring water is where it's at. All right, so hydration. Did I make my point? I've made my point about hydration. All right, let's go to the second one. This is also my favorite. It is elimination. Elimination. All right, once we hydrate, we'll know that we're eliminating more for sure. Both number 1 and number 2, which is very good because most people today in the world are constipated. I have epidemiological population-based study to prove this as well as massive clinical study. I can tell you that somewhere around 85% of the world today is constipated. My definition of constipation might be a little different than yours. Because mine is based on health, not on normal. Yeah. The human body, just like any animal body, is meant to be going to the toilet, pooping, once per meal per day.
Quindi il corpo umano, come quello di qualsiasi animale, dovrebbe andare alla toilette a defecare una volta al giorno, in realtà per ogni passo.
Makes sense, right? Something comes in, something goes out, just like babies, just like dogs.
Come bambini, come dogs, come cani.
Yeah?
I would be happy.
And so this is the fundamental, right? We see that something is not coming out. Yeah, any proud three poopers? We'll do an epidemiological study. You poop once per meal per day? Come on. Ale, bravo. All right, we had 4. So look, that's 85%. Yeah? So for most people, you have a way to go. The path of health, the path of healing, you're starting to see. Okay? So elimination could not be more important, okay? Because if we have all of the time rubbish building up, we become a trash dump.
Per cui se noi conserviamo questa spazzatura diventiamo anche un po' la stessa.
And it's been, I mean, completely, fully, science has finally admitted that cancer manifests in the body 20 years before it's ever seen in the clinical laboratory.
Quindi addirittura il cancro si manifesta 20 anni prima che sia osservabile a livello clinico.
And so what is it 20 years before?
E cosa è avvenuto per 20 anni?
Dehydration and the trash buildup, maybe?
Disidratazione e accumulo di spazzatura.
Yeah. And so my medicine is preventative medicine.
E la mia medicina è preventiva.
Okay. So I already told you guys when we were in Malasana that this is the position that you go to the toilet in, right? Okay, so I have a list of 3 ways to poop more that I give to everyone I meet. Yeah? All right, number 1 way to poop more, guess what? Hydration. We already covered it, okay? And the reason for that is if you had like a rubber tube and a rock inside and you try to move the rock down the tube, it's difficult. You pour a bunch of water and it comes out, you see that rock colon.
L'analogia è quella di un tubo al cui interno ci sono delle pietre e then your rocks e se voi bevete la stessa analogia, queste pietre si possono spostare.
It's your colon, yeah. Yeah? Okay. So hydration's number 1. Number 2 is to squat. It's the position. The reason for that is at the end of the colon, right here, we have around the anal canal, there's a muscle, yeah, the puborectalis muscle, yeah, around the rectum. This muscle is tight when we're standing or when we're sitting. Okay? And the reason for that is so that we don't poop in our pants.
E questo ci evita di defecare nei nostri pantaloni.
But as soon as we bring the knees up toward the shoulders,
Appena portiamo le ginocchia all'altezza delle spalle,
this muscle loosens,
i puborettali si rilasciano
creating a clear passageway.
e quindi crea un passaggio.
Okay, so that's one little part of it. Also, when we're in this position, I mean, this is obviously how you would go in the wild. This is how an animal goes to the toilet. This is how we're meant to go to the toilet.
Not in Europe.
Yeah? Not in Europe. So actually, you know, in, where was I? In Perugia yesterday, I saw a squatter toilet. It was a public bathroom.
Some, like, bar.
I mean, look at the Roman toilets. They were platforms, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, look, we also have the leg muscles, the quadriceps, are active.
Abbiamo anche che i quadricipiti siano attivi in questa posizione.
They're supporting the colon, and the colon is only held up by fascia, by like skin tags.
Supportano il colon che in realtà è tenuto.
And so when we have this support, everything goes well, okay?
Quindi le cosce in quella posizione supportano qualsiasi cosa legata al colon.
So you don't need to get a squatter toilet, right? You can still use your toilet. If you're in a public toilet, I recommend you put up the toilet seat and then you go onto the toilet rim like this. You have to hold the walls, okay?
I want to see my mouth.
The part of your foot that will be on the toilet rim is the large intestine in reflexology.
Quindi la riflessione è la parte che si appoggia del piede corrisponde all'intestino.
If not, you can get a rubbish bin, a trash can, and put it under your feet.
Altrimenti prendete un cestino e
Like this?
appoggiate i piedi.
So that you're in a squat-like position.
Quindi rimanete in squat.
Okay? So number 2 way to poop more, squat.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3 way to poop more, and this is an important one.
Questo è il terzo importante.
Give yourself time.
Date allo stesso tempo.
Make time. Yeah? It's very, very, very important. And so what that means is, of course, first thing in the morning, right? Maybe later on in the morning,
Certamente dovrebbe essere la prima cosa della mattina,
maybe after lunch,
ma potrebbe anche essere dopo pranzo,
later on in the afternoon or after
anche
dinner,
nel pomeriggio, dopo cena,
before you go to bed.
prima del letto.
Yeah. There's a good old Indian proverb.
C'è un proverbio indiano.
Man who goes to sleep without pooping is a fool.
L'uomo che va a letto senza defecare è un pazzo.
Yeah. Yeah? So, there we go. Thank you, India. This is something that I can't stress enough. I tell, if I'm working with a client who works corporate and they have no time in the day and anything like that, I'll have them put in their calendar 10 minutes, right, after every meal or something where it says meditation.
Lavoro con le persone che lavorano nelle corporate proprio che non hanno mai tempo, dico scrivete anche il calendario di defecare 10 minuti, direttamente che prima di meditazione.
And so my advice is go to the toilet, bring a book, bring something to get your mind off of things, and go ahead and read, right?
La mia suggerimento è di prendere qualcosa da leggere per rilassare la mente.
Smartphones are great. Yeah.
Quindi cellulari smart.
When your mind leaves, your body knows exactly what to do. When the prison guard leaves, the prisoners can escape.
Quindi quando la mente si distrae, finalmente il prigioniero quindi fugge, il corpo sa cosa fare.
Yeah? Okay. So make time. Make time.
Datevi il tempo.
This
Trovate
is
tempo.
perhaps one of the most important things that you do in your life.
È una delle cose più importanti che potete fare nella vostra vita.
Most of you don't make time to do it. Yeah?
Che normalmente non fa.
Okay, good. So I have a few minutes left for the other two. So number 1 was hydration. Number 2, elimination. Number 3, fundamental of health was restoration.
Quindi il terzo punto è restaurare.
So do you have restorative yoga classes here? No? That might be something to look into. Niccolo can teach it. I'll teach him how to teach restorative. Restorative yoga is one of the most important styles of yoga. I teach it in Bali. It's essentially like a nap time class.
Yoga restaurativo è un po' come se fosse il tempo del sonnellino.
It's like a nap time class. Did you say that part?
Yin yoga?
It's different than yin yoga. Restorative yoga is classical Iyengar therapeutic yoga. It's using bolsters and other things to, essentially what you're doing is allowing the nervous system to fully regenerate in parasympathetic mode.
Quindi lo yoga restaurativo in realtà non corrisponde all'yin yoga, ma utilizza eventualmente dei props, degli utensili che permettono al corpo proprio di rilassarsi e di stimolare, di rimettere in bilanciamento il sistema simpatico e parasimpatico.
And this is the issue today, is that we're all running around so much in this sympathetic setting.
Oggi solo stimogliamo il simpatico,
The flight or fight response.
quindi attacco e fuga risposta.
We have to, survive, and we have to do this, and we have to work, and we have to make sure that goes there, and the traffic sounds, and all of this drama.
Modalità di sopravvivenza.
Yeah, that's life today. We are so, especially living in a city, you guys live in the city, so overstimulated in sympathetic setting. And
Nel contesto urbano siamo così stimolati a livello simpatico.
And the I don't know how you would translate this into Italian, but the catch is that healing cannot and will not ever occur with the sympathetic nervous system dominant.
Quindi il processo di autoguarigione non avverrà mai se il sistema simpatico è attivato.
It can and will only occur with the parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation response active.
Soltanto con l'attivazione del parasimpatico.
So restoration, this part, means giving yourself not only enough sleep, which is what we'll talk about in a second, but also points during the day to restore. What we did, Viparita Karani, with the legs up the wall, I prescribe this twice a day for 15 minutes for a lot of clients. Yeah? If you have a stressful job or if you ever feel like you're stressed, go wherever you are. If you're outside, go to a tree. Put your legs up the tree. I don't care who looks at you. I don't care how funny you look, right? This is your body, this is your health, this is this lifetime.
Quindi dice anche il parita crani che abbiamo fatto questa mattina può essere utilizzato 2 volte al giorno per 15 minuti. Fregatevene, poi se qualcuno vi reputa ridicoli, fatelo ovunque siate, può essere anche attaccato a un albero, e questa è la vostra vita, cioè non è la vita di quello che vi sta osservando.
And you're in control, and so you can decide how you want to be.
No, quello è il muro.
Just breathing.
Yeah?
No, è quello che legame al...
Just put your legs up the wall and relax. Okay? So this essence of restoration, make sure that you have something every day that's restorative. Thank you, Nicola. Yeah? So like 3 minutes of this can change everything. It's the fastest thing that I've ever discovered that the human body can do to switch into that healing.
È la cosa più furba, più intelligente da fare, più veloce per rigenerare e rigenerare.
Okay, so the other part of restoration is sleep. Yeah?
Parte del processo di restaurazione è dormire.
In different parts of the human life, we need different amounts of sleep. Yeah? The adult human will need between 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night per day. All right, so that's somewhere around 8 hours.
Sono cicli per cui il fabbisogno di sonno può variare, può essere tra 7 e 9 e 8 ore.
Our bodies have been designed, like any other living being that's along our same sleep cycle and not nocturnal, to go to sleep when?
Il nostro corpo è stato creato per andare a letto quando? When the dark comes.
There we go. Sunset. So we go to sleep when the sun sets, and we wake up when the sun rises. This is how we're made, right? The lights are turned on and off.
Quindi l'Homo sapiens, deve dire, è stato designato per vivere alla luce, quindi andare a letto nel momento in cui c'è il tramonto.
But with this stuff, over the past few hundred years, things have changed.
Con queste cose che sono anche sopra i nostri occhi, negli ultimi 100 anni, le cose sono un po' cambiate.
And this has thrown us even more out of balance.
E
Yeah?
questo ci porta a sbilanciarci.
So, I'm not saying don't use lights, right? But sun sets at like 6 or 7 p.m. Often people don't go to bed until midnight or 1 a.m., right?
Quindi abbiamo un tramonto alle 7 di sera e le persone vanno a letto a mezzanotte.
There's a big problem there. And so I use the modern medicinal systems of Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, and I call them modern because what I practice is ancient. It's like 3 million years old, and those are only a few thousand years old.
Quindi io chiamo i sistemi diciamo, di medicina moderna cinese e quello anche ayurvedico perché hanno 3000 anni circa, hanno migliaia di anni indietro, mentre quelli a cui mi riferisco sono milioni di anni indietro.
Yeah? These systems are medicines of civilization. They give us advice on how to live in society or in the city, in modern world, right?
Quindi questi sistemi sono
And
sistemi
still be balanced.
che sono stati disegnati per la civiltà, quindi per persone che vivono in comunità urbane.
And so, for example, Ayurveda says you have to go to bed before 10 p.m.
Quindi Ayurveda dice andare a letto per le 10.
Chinese medicine gives you 1 more hour, it says by 11 p.m.
Il cinese dà un'ora in più alle 11.
Yeah. And this has to do with the energy flow in the body, okay? So
Questo ha a che vedere con l'energia che fluisce nel corpo.
I don't have time to go into it too much now, but what we're looking at is one of my teachers used to say to me, you know, the train is at 11 p.m. If you're not sleeping in dream world by 11 p.m., you've missed the train, and the next train does not come until 1 a.m. Have you ever experienced that? You go to bed around midnight and your mind keeps racing and you just can't go to sleep, yeah? So this is before 11 p.m. going to sleep.
Quindi sono come dire dei treni esperienziali notturni, per cui se non si va a letto entro le 10, alle 11 quel treno è passato, il prossimo potrebbe essere all'1 di notte.
I'm sure you have the Italian proverb as well, man who goes early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy and wise. Something like that.
No,
No?
conoscete un proverbio che riguarda l'andare a letto presto e essere saggi? No, chi non dorme pigia pesce.
No? Yeah?
Chi non dorme pigia pesce. So we have a shower that says...
No, chi dorme?
No, so...
Wait, you have to translate that back to me.
Okay, in Italian it's the opposite. It's
not
who
gonna
sleeps,
fish anything.
yeah, doesn't fish. Doesn't fish. So our society is so sympathetic mode that if
There you
we
go.
sleep, we're gonna lose fish.
Very good. You won't lose fish, I promise. Okay. All right, so we see that this essence of restoration, actually in Chinese medicine, the hours between 9 p.m. to 12 midnight are worth double in their restorative power, it's said.
In medicina tradizionale cinese, dalle 9 alle 12 di notte sono le ore più potenti nel restaurare il corpo. Due volte di più.
And so the earlier you go to bed and the earlier you make habits of going to bed, naturally, the healthier you're going to be, the more your body's going to get to restore. And I mean, this is obviously needed. It's just like a cell phone. You use it, and then it's out of battery. You need to plug it in, right? We are the same. We need to be plugged in.
L'analogia è la stessa di un cellulare che ha bisogno di essere ricaricato, e quindi perché non utilizzare queste conoscenze?
Okay, so that's restoration. There's a lot more to be said there, but it's so missing from our lives because we're on overdrive all the time.
C'è un sacco che noi stiamo perdendo perché siamo sovrastimolati.
But you know this because you're yogis.
Voi sapete questo perché siete yogi.
All right. Last up, we have respiration. And respiration I've talked about a little bit already, but obviously pranayama.
L'ultimo step è la respirazione. Certamente pranayama.
In English, respiration actually means breathing. They're the same thing.
Sì, like in Italian.
But also, there's a respiration that happens at a cellular level.
C'è anche la respirazione che avviene a livello cellulare.
Cellular respiration. Okay? And so this includes things we've talked about, hydration,
Questo include la respirazione cellulare, include la respirazione.
cellular hydration, right? This also includes the little cells eating and pooping and eating and pooping.
Quindi include anche le piccole cellule che mangiano e defecano.
And so what this is, at its essence, is cellular detoxification.
E quindi essenzialmente questa è disintossicazione cellulare.
The most effective thing that we could ever put into our body, besides water, of course, for cellular defecation, detoxification, is anything green. It's essentially chlorophyll.
Everything green?
Green.
Ok. Quindi la cosa migliore che possiamo fare, oltre a bere acqua, per fare in modo che le cellule espellano il loro defechino, sono i vegetali.
Green, specifically.
Verde.
Yeah.
Verde, sì.
So the thing is that when we take in a lab chlorophyll, which is, plant makes its own food, chlorophyll, and we take hemin, which is the color in human blood, it's the red color in human blood, these two molecular structures are nearly identical. Yeah, like one atom difference.
Quindi se prendiamo la clorofilla, che diciamo è il sangue dei vegetali, e poi dall'altra parte l'emoglobina, hemoglobin, sai?
Hemin.
Quindi il gruppo M della emoglobina, they behave the same?
They're almost molecularly exactly the same.
Sono similissimi.
And so what happens when they come into contact is just like if anyone knows identical twins. Do you have twins? They switch places?
Yeah,
And they play tricks? Yeah?
when they were in school.
Yeah, when they were in school, they would do that. The same thing happens.
È la stessa cosa come i gemelli omozigoti si scambiano completamente a livello molecolare.
So the green foods start to build the blood,
Quindi i vegetali verdi costruiscono il sangue
and then the dirty, toxified blood comes out to be flushed away.
e a quel punto le sporcizie possono essere portate fuori.
And so, yeah, there is nothing that can let's say, jumpstart cellular restoration as well as green things.
Non c'è nient'altro che lavora così bene.
And so the dietary advice that I give people is eat for hydration,
Quindi la raccomandazione che do è bevete, cioè mangiate per idratarvi,
which means eating way more, mostly fruits and vegetables.
quindi mangiare frutta e verdura.
I bet you've never heard fruits and vegetables are good for you. Right? I'm not here to tell you anything you don't know. I'm just here to remind you of these
Nulla
things,
di nuovo, soltanto per ricordarvi,
to reprioritize them.
per dargli le priorità loro.
Because these are the foods that are going to make you poop.
Perché questi sono i cibi che vi fanno andare,
These are the foods that are going to help cellular respiration.
aiuteranno la respirazione cellulare.
These are the foods that are going to hydrate you naturally and give back to you.
A idratarvi.
Yeah? So eat more fruits and vegetables, and whatever you think more is, 5 times that.
Qualsiasi cosa pensate buona, 5 volte.
Yeah? And then, secondarily, my dietary advice is
Veramente.
to eat way more greens.
E quindi mangiate ancora più
Green vegetables, green leafy
vegetali
vegetables.
verdi.
Yeah?
Vivi.
And so, yeah, I mean, like the side salad that people have, right? I'm talking like 20 of those.
È ridicolo. Penso che cosa molto più grande, 20 volte più grande.
Doing things like green smoothies, and I have a really specific recipe for green smoothies. I have a video that you can watch to know how to make it.
Che ho per smoothie green,
Where you can put 1 kilo of leafy green vegetables, young, sweet, tender leafy green vegetables,
di vegetali in foglia verde.
in a blender, right? Something like that. How can you get more green in your life? Huh? Yeah, because people just don't do it today. That's why a blender is helpful. Okay? All right.
Blender or juicer?
Both. They're different things. You can use both to get more.
Utilizzare il centrifugatore o il suo juicer,
Okay.
l'estrattore va bene.
Okay. So there we have it. We have hydration. We have elimination. Right? We have restoration and respiration.
E respirazione.
Remember, it's including breathing. That these are the fundamentals of health
Questi sono i fondamenti della
that most people don't think about. Right? You can even
non pensano a questo.
you can go to a naturopath and they'll sell you thousands of dollars worth of products
E vi manda un naturopata per miliardi di dollari in un prodotto
without asking you about your poop or your sleep.
senza chiedergli di come defecate, come dormite.
And so we have to get over this system and really empower ourselves.
E ridare questo a voi stessi.
One of my greatest goals is to give people back their health, because it's been too long that we've disempowered ourselves and given our health away.
Quindi il mio obiettivo è ridare proprio alle persone potere.
It's our responsibility, yeah?
È la nostra responsabilità.
And we have the power.
E noi abbiamo il potere.
Okay. Thank you guys. Yeah, bravo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I know we're at time. 5 minutes past, not so bad. If anyone wants to stay for questions, that's fine. Otherwise, if you guys want, you can come and have some propaganda. This little card has it has my website on it, and it also has my Facebook page. And I post 2 or 3 times a day, every day, new articles, new studies, videos, information to keep people thinking about these things. So come join me there. And there's also an iridology chart, which didn't print big enough, but it's cool. And if any of you want to leave me your email, if you have any comments, I'll put this out.
Se volete lasciarmi la vostra mail, commenti,
Cool,
poi vi parlo.
cool.
Vi rispondo.
You can put it here. All right. Awesome. You just put name and email.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah, for sure. Questions?
What was your studying background?
Yeah, so it's really diverse.
Like where did you start from?
I started on myself. Nothing that I say hasn't been tested on me over and over again, and then on my clients over and over again.
Qualsiasi cosa che ho detto l'ho provata su me stesso, tante volte.
I have a Master's of Science in Ethnobotany, which is the study of the relationship between people and plants.
Ho un master in etnobotanica
My specialty is gastroethnobotany, food plants.
e quindi la mia specialità è gastroetnobotanica sul relativamente al cibo e le piante.
My doctorate is from the Indian Board of Alternative Medicines in Kolkata in India. But I've studied the elements of naturopathy. I've studied nutrition with Colin T. Campbell, the author of the China Study. Yeah. I've studied iridology in New York City. I practice colon hydrotherapy, and I have for years. No, it's good. And that, like, each little essence in its own has so much. And yeah, the biggest thing that I could ever give is the logic and the understanding and the communication and putting things together, because these fundamentals, what I've just shared with you, I think is the most important thing that I could ever share, because these are things that we're so disconnected from. Yeah?
L'aspetto che sto coltivando è cercare di questi diversi saperi tra di loro e diffonderli liberamente.
And fasting has really been my greatest teacher, the practice of fasting itself. Yeah. How many of you have ever fasted before? You've been a day in your life for a few days without eating? Okay, so a good 10%. When you're sick, that's the perfect time to fast. Yeah, that's great. So I invite you, please come. You can come in Bali or anywhere I am in the world for fasting. That's really, it's discovering all of these things. Like if any of you discovered some power today in your physical body through the yoga class, right? It's discovering this power on a whole nother level. Like you are possible of so much more. Capable of so much more. Yes. Oh, yeah, Jasmine. Of course. Of course. Living on light. Yeah. A lot of my friends have done. No, I haven't. But I have a lot of her books, and it's a different thing. Yeah. Living on light. I'll tell you about it. Any other questions?
Very simple. You say that the stomach you are supposed to drink when the stomach is empty. Is there anything bad drinking also while you're eating? You're supposed not to drink while you're eating.
Yeah, it will dilute the stomach acid.
So you should not drink while you're eating.
Correct. And if you feel the need to drink while you're eating, exactly, you have to ask yourself why. Am I so dehydrated beforehand, right? Or what am I eating that's making me want water? You see that?
But I feel the emphasis because that's before, yes. Because even if I feel the need to drink, even if I eat green vegetables.
So then it's the first question.
Yeah.
So play with it.
Ti domanda, bisogna bere durante i pasti? Lei dice no, è importante non bere durante i pasti. Se hai sete significa che sono due ragioni: o sei talmente disidratato che questo si mantiene anche durante il pasto, o seconda opzione, stai mangiando cosa stai mangiando, che determina questo senso di sete.
Do you ever drink from plastic bottles?
I try not to, yeah. The energy of water really changes depending on what you have. I mean, I will if I have to, for sure. But yeah.
Beve sempre da bottiglie di vetro, dice sì, perché l'energia è diversa.
Yeah, if you want to study more about water and everything like that, there's a lot out by Dr. Masaru Emoto, the late doctor, an alumnus from my naturopathy school.
Il dottor Masaru Emoto, che è quel dottore giapponese che ha studiato
Messages from Water.
I messaggi dall'acqua, e il dottore a cui si riferisce, con cui ha lavorato, ed è quello che ha codificato quelle formule elettriche che l'acqua assume a seconda di quale energia è inviata all'acqua stessa.
M-A-S.
M-A-S.
Masaru. It's A or U-R-O.
Masaru.
I think it's U-R-O. And then E, well, his last name is Emoto, E-M-O-T-O.
Emoto, faccio in italiano.
Masaru.
Sì. Bellissimo.
The water in plastic, you mean, or from tap? Because the stomach has an acidity of 2, and when we put in something so acidic, it completely throws the body out of balance. And it essentially tries to alkalize difficult like we need the acidity in the stomach. And if it's alkalized, then we're out of balance. But then also the alkaline water doesn't get into the body because it's been acidified right at the stomach.
Yes, but the water have the minerals, alkaline minerals.
Right, so minerals are normally alkaline. They're at an alkalinity of like 7, 7.5 or 8. They're not at 9, 10. So it's great. Alkaline water is really good for your skin. It's good for outside. Inside it's different. Yeah, I mean, if you keep it at 8, I'd rather have spring water.
It's good because you.
Does she sell the machines?
No, but I buy the machine, so I want to know if I have it. I don't.
Can I ask you a very simple question? What about fresh juice? Can you drink it on an empty stomach and then water? Or how do you do it in the morning?
Yeah. Drink your water first and then your juice.
Yeah. Why don't you get like couple?
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Vitality Podcast. Please click over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review to spread this work with the world. You have a part in transforming humanity's health. Keep enjoying this free resource and make sure to give back by sharing, subscribing, and checking out all of Andrea's work at liveforvitality.com, where you can find links to Instagram and other social media. Andrea also gives astrology readings, holds online fasting retreats, and teaches detox courses and advanced yoga teacher trainings. So come to liveforvitality.com and let Andrea transform your life now.